I'm trying to get Wattpad up. Okay, I kind of forgot what chapter we were on last time, so sorry. Hello, BFTI fan. Hello, Fire. Hello. I'm gonna try my best to pronounce this. Zeomara? 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 I'm just gonna call you Zeo, if that's alright. Or Mara. How do you pronounce it? Okay, so last time, we read 5 chapters, so that's like a good accomplishment. And today we're gonna only read like 3 to 4 now, but like I cannot remember the chapter we finished reading. Um, so if we started on injury, which is like chapter 24, then we would be on chapter 30 right now, if I'm correct with that. So like I'm pretty sure Fire left on chapter 29. So what happened? Recap. Basically, okay, chapter 24, Trophy, was, like, still stuck in the room for, like, 2 weeks, and then, like, Test Tube came and made the deal, and he accepted the deal. Chapter 25, uh, Lightbulb was in the room, I think, or something. I can't really recall. It's been it's been, like, last week, but I'm sure we'll figure it out. So let me just okay, so this is just okay, chapter 24 is Lightbulb waking up after the incident and Testu making a deal with Trophy. 25 photos was Trophy actually doing the job and taking photos for Testu. 26 was uh Trophy talking to Test Tube, and then like another peek with Pepper and Salt, and then 27 information. Uh, Test Tube was talking with Trophy. Actually, no, she was talking with Fan and was trying to hide her tracks. Oh yeah, Pepper gets kidnapped. I forgot. So yeah. Do you know of Forsaken? What is that? Maybe? Let me look it up. Forsaken. Of Forsaken. So, of Forsaken. Dang. It's like, um, a community wiki dedicated to Roblox game. Oh, it's the Roblox game Forsaken. I think. I haven't played it, so I don't think so. No. Oh, but I have seen lots of art for it. I have seen lots of art for it. So yeah, um, I've just found out what now I have a name to put to all of the fan art I see of it on my TikTok. So yeah, I know Forsaken. I gotta check out Forsaken now. I'll do that after this stream. So yeah, Pepper gets kidnapped in chapter called Pepper, and 29 is the gathering, and this is like Paper trying to like do research and like basically what Paper did was like investigate, which was silly because like instead of calling the professionals, instead of that, Paper just went ahead and just cleaned up the mess. Didn't even let professionals check it out. There was literally blood, DNA, and everything all over the place. Instead of calling the cops or an actual professional detective, they just clean up the crime scene. So that was very silly. So now we're on chapter 30 called Deduce. So I gotta really get rid of this banner now because we're like 5 minutes in. So yeah, still welcome to the stream. So yeah. Okay, I'm gonna start reading. This is Hall 17, Chapter 30, Deduce. Paper left his office, closing the door behind him. Well, it technically wasn't his office, it was OJ's, but he hadn't been there for a while now. 4 months. Most of the residents called it the front office or just the office. Paper did too, for the most part, but he still caught himself calling it his so very every off so often. Did I already read this? I need to see. Okay, I'm just gonna keep reading, and then if I already read this, then whoops. He walked to the kitchen table in a beeline, holding a blank piece of ruled paper and a mechanical pencil. The search team was sitting around the table waiting for him, as well as a couple objects who normally weren't involved. Hello, thank you all for waiting. I'm sure you all remember why you're here today, but we're discussing the possible culprits for the 6 missing cases, he said, taking a seat at the head of the table. First, I think it would be useful to list different possibilities for what might have happened. Any ideas, anyone? The room went silent, besides the anxious clicking of Paper's mechanical pen for a moment. Well, wouldn't it have to be someone outside the hotel? We've checked all the rooms here, right? Paintbrush said. Good point, but Paper said, trailing off midway through. Paper, did you not think to do a thorough check of the hotel for the past 4 months? Knife said, moving his hand from the table as he did. We have, but it wasn't that thorough and happened quite a while ago. That's all, Paper said, putting his hands up. I'm just worried it might be outdated. Should we do another one just in case? Sounds fine to me, said Fan, who was sitting right next to Paintbrush. Paper nodded before writing it down on the sheet. He looked back up with a neurotic neurotic smile. Anything else? Oh, on the topic of the people outside, don't you think they're more suspicious? Microphone asked. I think we don't even know where Apple and Marshmallow live. Good point. So that would be Test Tube, Apple, and Marshmallow, who are our highest suspects? Paper asked, already jotting it down. And the Season 3 cast, Bomb said. His stuttering had improved over the years, so he was at least understandable now. Paper nodded, writing that down on the suspects list. Good point. So that would be Test Tube, Apple, and Marshmallow. Who are our high? Oh wait, did I already? Shit, I already said that. So my bad. Shouldn't we sort the suspects list? Fan questioned, gesturing with his hands in an almost theatrical fashion. My bad, sorry. Uh, yeah, it could be the season 3 newcomers, but they don't live on the island, so they're not as suspicious as someone like Apple, for example. Oh, and put it as season 3 newcomers, by the way. I don't want to be higher up on the suspect list than I have to. Fair enough, but who exactly is the most suspicious? Paper said, going back to clicking his pencil. Isn't it obvious? Marshmallow and Apple wouldn't even share their location, Baseball said from the kitchen, pouring some coffee for himself. He was a late sleeper, but it was still technically morning. So, do we all agree on that? Paper said, and after affirming everyone's thoughts on it, wrote it down at the top of the newly created list. All right, how about for the second spot? Test tube. She has that laboratory of hers that almost nobody but her enters. Knife replied, Hey! Van's right. He's right. Paintbrush interrupted. I trust that test tube wouldn't do anything like this, but from a logical standpoint, she's, well, yeah. Van opened his mouth to argue, but closed it shortly after with a frown. All right. Paper scribbled test tube's name down as a second on the list. All right. Is there anyone from the season 3 newcomers we should separate from the rest, or just put them down as a whole? This might seem dark, but what if it was one of the missing people behind this? Baseball suggested, walking past into the living room. I guess you're right, Paper said, a bit off, but put by what that suggestion could entail. Thank you. Any more suspects? Well, this isn't a season new 3 newcomer, and it might be a huge stretch, Microphone commented, but could it possibly be Taco? Of course, Microphone would say that. Oh my gosh. Um, Van, I have bad news for you. Van, Van, you silly fan, you have no clue. The room went silent for a good moment after that. No, she's right. We haven't seen Taco since season 1 ended. She could be anywhere, Bomb stated, shuffling in his seat as he did. I guess so, Knife said numbingly. Paper awkwardly nodded before writing Taco's name on the third spot of the list, adding the season 3 newcomers after that. As much as he wanted to confirm it again, it was obvious no one was comfortable with the mention of that traitor. Alright, now that we have the suspects down, what are other possibilities? I've been thinking about this one for a while. What if there were multiple people behind this? 2 kidnappings in one night would be hard for just one person, right? Fan suggested. The group nodded and hummed in agreement. Oh, Fan. Somehow, Testu managed to do it all by herself. My theory or like my prediction is that Fan like gonna be out of character, just like Test Tube here is gonna be like, you know what, I'm gonna help you out with this experiment of yours, Test Tube, and then just gonna help Test Tube. That's like my prediction, but like it's out of character. But Test Tube's sort of out of character here as well, but like still has like some reasons that fit her character. So I don't know. Probably not gonna happen. Ben's just gonna be betrayed, so that's just what's gonna happen. Fair enough. I'll put that down, Paper said, staying true to his word and writing it down as a possibility. Though that gives me another idea. What if one person was outside while the other was inside the hotel? That would explain a lot about Pepper's case, right? That makes sense, Microphone muttered, looking off to the side. She seemed distracted by something, probably the thought of Taco being behind this. That's not in the story, by the way, that's just my comment. When you put it like that, there could be any number of culprits, Knife said gruffly. You're right, I'll put it down as that. Is there anything else anyone would like to say? Paper said. No one replied, leaving them awkwardly shuffling around. All right, now that we have our possibilities here, we should make our next course of action to check whether whichever ones we can confirm or deny as many as possible. So we deep search the hotel again, Paintbrush said, already sounding exhausted by the mention of it. If we can confirm they're not being kept here by doing it, then yes. Great. paintbrush slouched in their seat a bit. Yeah, they're not a morning person. I could see that. But they're also like not a night person. Okay, well. Is there anything else you guys can think of? Papers asked once again. Silence. He held back a sigh. Everyone seemed tired after talking about it for a good chunk of the morning. All right, well, with that, there's nothing more to discuss. Unless any of you have some last minute suggestions, we'll be ending the meeting here. Thank you all for coming. The table slowly dispersed. A couple mumbled and goodbyes coming from some of the objects. Paper himself sat up from his seat, holding his paper close to him. He walked back over to the front office and opened the door. Stepping inside, it wasn't the neatest room in the place, but Paper did a fairly good job keeping it clean. He walked over to the desk, opening up the drawers and taking out a folder. He slipped the piece of paper into it before putting the folder back into his desk. The uncomfortable sound of metal hitting metal echoed through the otherwise quiet office as he closed the drawer again. Paper pulled the swivel. I hate that word because like I struggled saying it the first time, I'm pretty sure. And I still don't understand swivel chairs. But at least I could still I mean at least I could say the name of the chair now. Swivel. Swivel. Swivel chair from the desk before sitting down in it, letting out a much needed sigh. He knew working on such a big project wouldn't be easy, but it was just so tiring. But it needed to be done. He pulled himself back to the desk. The laptop started up as soon as it was opened, creating a slight ambience. He'd organize the search of the hotel later, but he had to do some paperwork for the hotel he procrastinated on first. The keys clicked as he typed in the password before the computer let him in. Switching perspectives to the people who were kidnapped now. Lightbulb had to hold herself back from humming as she laid down on her bed, happy with how the day had ended. As bad as it was that people were still being brought down here, it was still nice to talk to new people after so long of the same three objects. Paper didn't. Sorry. Well, Pepper couldn't actually talk, but you get the deal. It was days like these that she liked. Days that nothing bad in happened in, but weren't just sitting around doing nothing either. Days where something actually pleasant happened. It was dis- it was depressing how those had become a thing Lightbulb looked forward to more than she actually lived through. Okay, a moment. I need to do something. I think I have to cut this one short, so I'll finish this chapter and then yeah. A lot of the day had been passed by talking about what's going on at the hotel. It was nice to hear the search team was still trying their best. Pepper didn't know every clue that was left behind when she disappeared, but she had a feeling they might catch on. While it did sound like wishful thinking, Lipo couldn't help but agree, even if she hadn't been there. The last few days had been more eventful than the others thanks to the new objects. And while she knew it was terrible new people were being dragged into this place, but a part of her was happy with how things were going, happy enough to keep her awake. Even though the lights were out and she could hear everyone else sleeping. On a regular day in the lab, she'd be scared. She didn't exactly like being alone with her thoughts, especially with what they drove her to do last time. But she had something to occupy her mind, so it wasn't the same, was it? Why do you do it? Lightbulb paused, hearing a voice in the dark. She shook it off, pushing it in the back of her mind. As long as she could get her thoughts away from those thoughts, she'd be all right. So she told herself it was just an intrusive thought and locked it away. Lightbulb, I know you're awake. Why do you do it? The voice repeated. This time, Lightbulb was aware enough to hear to her surroundings to recognize it as OJ. She looked at the ground, knowing exactly what he meant. What do you mean? Lightbulb tried to kid him, but she didn't need him to reply to see it wasn't working. She exhaled, sitting up against the wall. I don't know. You don't do things without reason, OJ whispered, his silhouette also sitting up in the dark. While your course of action might be off sometimes, it always has a good reason. I know there's probably something obvious, but please, tell me why. Lightbulb stayed quiet for a moment, staring at the sheets below her. I don't want to be here, she said bluntly. I miss how things used to be. I want everything back so badly. There's nothing good to expect here. I want to go back to how everything used to be so badly. She felt tears begin to come up to her eyes. OJ didn't say anything, instead standing up and walking over to Lightbulb's bed. He sat down right next to her, carefully placing his hand on her shoulder, telling her to let it out in his own nonverbal way. A stifled sob escaped from her throat. I just can't take it down here. I'm always so paranoid. Everything's so negative, and I I can't even remember what they look like. I miss being carefree. I want those days back so bad. I Lightbulb covered her mouth, trying to keep her voice down. I don't want to go through all of that again. I'm afraid she's gonna do something again. I'm afraid I'm going to do something I. She cuts herself off, sobbing into OJ's shoulder. He patted hers in response. They stayed like that for a good while, with nothing but the dark and each other for comfort. After Lightbulb's sorry. After Lightbulb's breathing had steadied, OJ spoke up in a soft whisper. I want to get out too, and we will get out eventually. All five, or well, six of us. But it's not going to be through death, I promise you. One day, no matter how much it takes, we'll all step out of his lab together. I think you just jinxed it, OJ, but okay. Lightbulb looked up at him, though she still couldn't see him through the darkness of the room. You promise? Promise me that you'll never do that again, and I'll promise you we'll get out of here alive. I promise. Then I promise you too, OJ said, softly smiling. He looked at the clock. It was almost 1 in the morning at this point, but he didn't want to leave her alone quite yet. So they continued sitting next to each other for the next few minutes, his hand still on her shoulder. Eventually, Lightbulb laid back down on her bed, so OJ went back to his. As she drifted off to sleep, she noticed she felt better than she did before, even though she thought she was nice. Even though she thought she was fine. It felt nice to get all off her chest. She hugged the blanket as she fell asleep, hoping she hadn't woken anybody up. Okay, that actually was wow, that was really well written. That was really well written. That was actually really good. Like this whole story is well written, but like I could that specific scene like was really well written. Yeah. Okay. Log 10, August 6th. Things have been going well so far. E1's healed enough to go back to the main rooms and has gotten a chance to meet the newcomers. While is some irreparable damage, she's doing well. J2 and S3 have been supportive towards the others. They stay to their usual habits, but help the other subjects when they can. They don't seem to like me, however. I'm not surprised. J2's surgery scars have been healing nicely, and I think I have enough notes to change it on changes in S3's behavior to do another test on him. T4 has also been doing well. I suspect that he may be getting a bit lonely and bored, while the other subjects have both each other and noticeably paranoia. He's alone and has gone through everything willingly so far. Health-wise, he is doing just fine. I'm not planning on taking my action at the moment, but if I do, I'll update on it. My idea with Trophy has been playing out fine so far. He does what I ask him to, but is still resentful of me. That's fine. I'm not looking for a good relationship anyways. You may have noticed I've imported some of the photos onto the other note documents. Those were all his work. I must say, it's very helpful. It's a bit of a dangerous plan, being that the only thing keeping him from killing me is not giving him enough food to physically recover from his current state. But I plan to continue it. To elaborate on his physical state, currently one of the handles on the side of his head has detached on its own, and the other one shows clear signs of atrophy. He's also relatively low on energy. This does make his camera work a little shaken, but it's the best I can do without him trying to break out. You may have noticed I said newcomers before. This time it was entirely my choice, though there was some inst- instigating from Pepper's side. She knew I was behind this and tried to convince the search team. If she wasn't known for spreading rumors, I'd be gone by now. While kidnapping her might have brought more suspicion to my name than there was already, it's better than letting her continue to tell people. Unfortunately, while bringing her down here, an incident occurred, and she's been returned incapable of speech. Okay, so incapable of speech. So is she's not gonna she's never gonna talk again? She can never talk again? Is that what you're telling me, Testu? You took away her voice? She can't talk again? Oh. As well as having problems eating. Well, eating. Oh, yeah, because she has band-aids over her mouth. How has she been she can't eat if she has band-aids over her mouth. Oh no. Pepper. Pepper. For more details, visit her separate notes. I'll be doing S3's next test once I have all of the safety precautions up. I'll update if anything else happens before then. Signing off, test tube. Okay, test tube. Okay. And author's note. Whoa, 1,000 views? Thank you all so much for the support. I really appreciate it. Updates may come in slower due to school starting back up, but I promise I'll continue. Hope you've all enjoyed this chapter. Next one should be out in 3 to 4 days, per usual. That's author's note, but we don't really, because then like this was finished. This is like 2 years ago, so we don't uh need to worry about that. I think so. Yeah. I'm just gonna read one more, and then that's our conclusion to Wattpad Wednesday, because then I have like an announcement at the end of this. So yeah. The room was dim. The lights needed to be replaced. It was also freezing, and Testib would be worried about getting hyperthermia if it weren't for trying not to fall asleep after an all-nighter on note taking. She rolled her neck, hearing the joints crack. She really needed to get outside more. If she got caught, she'd have to stay in hiding, so she should get she still could. Yet she wasn't. Then again, it was already dark out. It was cloudy. Her phone buzzed next to her, snapping her out of her thoughts. A text from Fan. She unlocked her phone with her fingerprint to see the messages. Hi, test tube. Can we call? New stuff with the search team. Okay. She shook her head, still a bit irritated with his usual lack of grammar. You, you're irritated with the real tester would never be irritated with Fan's type of grammar. It's because he typed with W slash. He wrote so well in his blog. How hard could it be to do it over text as well? She typed in her reply before sending. Can do. Call me once you're ready. She closed the messages, checking to see if there were any other notifications she didn't catch, sorry. Nope, none. The screen changed from her home screen to a picture a fan had chosen for his profile, as well as a usual call button. She tapped on the accept button and seeing that it was a regular call, put the phone up to her side to the side of her head. Hello, Fan. I know you said there was a meeting today. How'd things go? Not too well. Could I talk about it to you a little? Fan said submerly sorry. Submerly suburly. I said it, I think. No, there's an M in it, so somberly. Sorry if I'm struggling to say words. This isn't normal. Fan said somberly, his voice quiet enough to come out staticky through the phone. Test-tube immediately had an idea of what happened. Maybe she was just overthinking it, but no, she was definitely right. Why would he choose to call her so close to when the meeting ended and ask to talk about it? He was being a bit indirect as well. Of course, enforce the law. No, that is not what it says. Okay. Of course, you can. Of course you can. Did something happen at the meeting? She asked, trying to sound as unaware as possible while still being sincere. Yeah, I'm fine. It's just, I think the search team's going to start accusing you. You're on the suspects list. Like, really high up there as well. And I get why. You have your lab and all, but it's just hard hearing them say that you might have done something like this. Van replied, getting more worked up as he went along. Testube nodded to herself, her thoughts being proven true. Ah, gee. I should have seen this coming. Listen, Fan, I know it might be a bit stressful but things will turn out well. I'm sure I can prove I'm innocent to you all in some way or another. I'd invite you all to my lab to investigate if it weren't for the love. Blah, 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 sorry. I'd invite you all to my to investigate if it weren't for the lockdown. I'm assuming that paper put the hotel back on complete lockdown mode with Pepper's disappearance, though. Van's end of the phone stayed quiet for a little before he responded. Yeah, you're right. You haven't done anything wrong, so there isn't anything against you. It's just bad circumstances. An unlucky coincidence, right? Things will be fine. Although he, although he said it in, excuse me, although he said it himself, he still sounded unsure. Fan, I'm being serious. I'll prove it to them it's not me. And this'll pass. This'll all pass. It sounds like you're all searching harder than ever, even if the hotel's still locked up. You said it yourself. It's an unlucky coincidence. If I'm in the right, then there's no way to say it was me. Testu smiled subconsciously, forgetting Fan could see her. Something told her Fan was doing something similar. Thank you. I think I just needed a bit of reassurance there. Ha. Fan said sorry, breathily. Our current top suspects are Marshmallow and Apple. They don't have alibis, and we don't have their location since they refuse to share it. See, I'm not the top suspect. No need to be worried. And that does seem awfully suspicious. Yeah, but it's you, test tubes. It's you, test tube. It's you. Test tube said, half to Fan and half to herself. It's funny how something like that it's funny how something that's most likely just wanting privacy could get them incriminated like that. She understood why they thought that. She was a lot like them in not wanting to be in the hotel constantly, but she needed someone to push the blame on. I know. Anyways, they're not sure if Marshmallow should be on the search team anymore, if she's the highest suspect. But they also think she'd just cut off communication if they told her. She only started talking to us again after the whole situation began. Mm-hmm, test tube hemmed, letting Fan know she heard him. Well, if you need any help with technology and such, just ask. I could always try to track them down if they turn out to be guilty. Well, I wouldn't go as far to say they're guilty, but Ben said, words trailing off into a mumble. Oh, of course. Sorry, I just want this whole situation to be done with. I shouldn't jump to conclusions, Testube said, panicking a bit. That wasn't a lie. She missed hanging out with the friend group. The lab isn't exactly warm, especially with fall approaching. Give me a moment. I'm gonna end it here because something happened. So I think I will continue this later, though. Should continue this later, I'm pretty sure. But like, just in case I can't continue this later, I'm gonna say that next Wednesday won't be Wattpad Wednesday. Instead, we're gonna what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna react to Murder Drones on live if I could get that set up. So I think I should be able to continue this later, but we'll see. Anyway, thank you for stopping by, everyone. Oh shit, not that. Definitely not that. But yeah. Okay, see you later if you do a stream later. Yeah, I'll see. I think I should be able to continue this later. I'm not sure. So, and if I can't continue it later, then like I'll try to like finish the chapter tomorrow stream. So yeah. Alright, thank you. I can't find the banner to say like thank you for watching right now, but yeah, thank you for watching. Oh, so yay, murder drones. Yeah, yay, murder drones. Anyway, uh, I gotta go. Hopefully, I will be able to finish this chapter later. So yeah, bye.